In this video, I'm going to show how to grow tomatoes in containers. Actually, the first thing, how to transplant your tomatoes into their permanent containers. Okay, this is a technique that I've learned and it's very effective. Is when I bought this tomato from the garden store, it was a very tiny tomato in a smaller pot, and I suggest you don't transplant your tomatoes right away after you buy them if they're very small. And this I bought this 2 weeks ago and transplanted it first into a bit of a bigger container and let it grow there for like a couple of weeks, and this has grown really fast after 2 weeks. The reason being, tomato stems actually root, and the deeper you plant them, the better the root system is going to be. So in this case, I only put a little bit of soil here in this pot, and if I put this all the way down, we can still see that this tomato is so much higher than the pot itself. So what we can do is we can actually cut this stems from the tomato. Actually, there's already a fruit here, but that's fine. What we want is a good root system when it sets. So now, there you go. It's ready to be transplanted. And this tomato is going to root all the way to the soil level that you put in this pot. So it's gonna have a really good healthy root system. Okay, this is an indeterminate variety. It's called super sweet 100 cherry. But the thing then, so you remove this from the plastic pot, and as you can see, in just 2 weeks it has developed a lot of root fibers. So tomatoes really develop their root system very quick. So now we're gonna put the soil, and the soil that I use here is a mix of a potting mix and just an organic compost, and it works well. So fill this up all the way to like maybe 3 inch from the top of this container. Okay, now that I've filled this pot all the way to the top, one thing that I do, and it works really well to help sustain the growth of the tomato plant, is put some organic fertilizer here. So I'm using just an organic vegetable tomato fertilizer, just a couple of handfuls of this, and just mix it in with the soil. And the next thing is really important, and I've learned this through the course of yearly planting my tomatoes in containers to help prevent diseases, is to put a mulch on top of the soil. And what I'm using here is just a pine bark nugget. I've used a lot of different varieties in the past, and I came to the conclusion that this pine bark nugget works the best for me. The reason being, when I water this plant, some other mulches, they tend to like float, but this one, it stays in place and it doesn't like splash some of the soil from the underneath the mulch. And the reason for mulching is to prevent diseases in your tomato plants. And I've seen the early blights, the late blights, and it's really frustrating. Growing tomato, you really need to prevent them from getting diseases, because it's a lot harder to treat those diseases. And in the past couple of years, I think I never saw these blight diseases that I've seen in the past. And this uh, mulching really works. So now this tomato is it's done. Just need to be watered. Put it in where it's permanent place, where it's gonna grow and blossom and produce a lot of tomatoes. Okay. Uh, place your tomato plants in an area where they get a lot of sunlight. Tomatoes like to have a lot of sunlight, and it helps them really grow vigorously. And another tip that really worked for me in the past is in another other than putting the mulch on top of the pots on your tomato plants, place them on top of a mulch garden bed, and this really helps prevent these fungal diseases from infecting your tomatoes, like your late blights and early blights. And it really helped a lot in my case. And to show you some tomatoes that I planted earlier, here's my other garden bed with all my tomatoes that I planted in containers a little bit over a month ago. And look at that, a lot of fruits already in there. So many fruits. And these are planted exactly the same way from the other one that I just demonstrated. And this is also in a garden bed that has mulch. And this is really to prevent these diseases. As you can see, you don't see any spots on the leaves of my tomatoes right here. Okay, this is free, lots of fruits, very healthy. Okay, that's it for this video, and I hope you learned something. Thank you very much.